Hello, my name is Paul, and I just wanted to give a little testimonial about my teacher that I've had for the past 8 months. Asttarte Deva was a person that I met in the middle of November 2016. I want to start out by telling everyone that I had been in a 30-year extremely unhappy marriage, and in the past 20 years almost 100% alone. But meanwhile, up until that time, for the first 30 years of the marriage, I had been working very hard on recovery from an extremely abusive family background, meaning my dad left when I was 6, my mom and I were married together. Emotionally, I got sober in '85, and had to work 5 years on that relationship. I did the Warriors. I ran men's groups. I'm a clinical social worker. I've done everything you could possibly do in the therapy field, and it was about the last 5 years that I realized that I had very, very, very little vibrational type of a frequency relationship with my partner. I guess maybe 4 years ago I realized that it was going to have to end. And the sadness was that she never really wanted to look at herself. So I thought, how am I going to go out if I get divorced and still have 3 or 4 major clearings that I needed to do? So what I realized is that when I came across, November 16th I think it was, Asttarte, her YouTube videos. For some reason, higher power provided me with her website. And I think it was Tantra, Love, Sex, and Tea, I think it was. And I'm a very big tea drinker. And everything that she had in her videos and in her writings were about relationships. Was a part of it. Are you in a bad relationship? Do you have energy that's blocked? And it's interesting, prior to working with her, I had no idea of what intention meant. I had no idea of what dominant meant. I had no idea of submissive in the way of relationships with people. And so the night I watched her videos till about 4 in the morning, I thought, well, dude, you have 3 major intentions. One was the way that I was raised was 100% feeling shame every single day. It's not comfortable for me to express this, but I need to let everybody know that there wasn't a day that I had sex, if I did have sex, or make love, or almost every single day just being in my own skin, that I didn't not feel this kind of like warm and fuzzy, addicted type of shame that I had. The second was, I've been able to make money over the years because I'm an amazing business person. I'm in the flower and plant business. But I've never been able to keep the money. So I've been doing a lot of YouTubing, and there's a bunch of people out there, maybe 3 or 4 people out in the webinar world, that I could pay $1,000 with 400 people. She makes $400,000 in like 6 weeks, teaching people how to unblock the money egg. So I understood that. So I had an intention of unblocking the money egg, not feeling shame anymore. And a real big one was combined with mom. I figured my mom's the kind of person, when I would ask her, I think it was a year ago, and I was 59, I said, Mom, like, can you tell me, what medication were you on when you were pregnant? And she said, do you know your father never loved you? Oh my God. So that's the kind of way I was raised, with an alcoholic mother, a dad that left. I have a tremendous amount of anxious attachment issues in relationships. But my intention was, if I could only love Mom and do some clearing, and I would open the gates to have a relationship with a woman, because honestly at 60 I didn't know how to kiss a woman because I was told I was no good at it, and I was petrified of making love to a woman, let alone dating a person, a woman. So my intention, the last final intention was, how can I find somebody? But I knew that I needed to love myself. I knew enough about that. So what happened was, after listening to her videos that night, in a synchronistic kind of frequency vibrational experience that I had, maybe 4 or 5 different coincidences of the intentions that I had and the verbiage that she used in her writing. I just said to myself, Paul, you have to learn how to heal. You have to reach out to her. You have to be able to take that risk. And I just, you see Tantra in America, they've really sort of porned it. And how many people have intuitive healing skills that are legit? Especially when you go to the different websites, and 9 out of 10 are about sensual massage. And so I had no idea what to expect. So in the morning I made the call, and the coolest thing was, when I called, I said, oh, and by the way, I drink tea. And she said, well, why don't you come down to Ballackinwood and have tea with me? And I said to myself, you're kidding me. You're in Ballackinwood, Pennsylvania? That's where my mom lives, and that's where most of my shame was created up until about 11th grade, 10th grade, when I was a young man. And I said, I know where it is. I'm bringing the tea. I'll be down. So I took my car and I drove down, and I was really scared to shit. Because we get so used to these dark, negative relationships. I've been doing Brima, 160 sessions of going into a body, mind, and spirit place with one of the top Brima guys in the world, where you find your presence and you get to see yourself from above yourself for like 15 minutes after a session. All that was great, but I knew there was just a few things that I needed to unblock. So I went down to her house. It just so happens she's only 4.5, 5 minutes from mom. And then my junior high school is another 7 minutes. And I said, this is perfect. And when I walked in the house, she was very cautious and yet open, loving, accepting, caring. Let me see. I felt safe. That was the coolest part. I had no intentions of sex. That's not what I was looking for. I really wanted to heal. So we made an agreement that we would meet the following week, and what she charges was a little bit hefty for me. Psychiatrists are like $250 an hour. She was only $150 an hour. And I said, well, all right, I don't really know you, but I'll give it a shot. So it ends up, I'll speed it up a little bit, from November 16th to the 17th when I went over, till about, I don't know, even a couple days ago, because I still work with her, I was welcomed for the ride of my life. We did aura cleansing. We did all kinds of breath work. We did cuddling. I've never felt comfortable cuddling someone where it wasn't sexual and where it was just in the heart. Eye gazing, things that I just never did before. I was like, no, not eye gazing with you. And then practicing like the sounds. I mean, I'm telling you, it took me 4 or almost 5 months of working 3 days a week with her. It's what happened is I ended up hiring her as a coach, and she had never done that before. She only sees people once or twice a week, and then she waits 3 weeks, and she leaves time for the process. But I said, give it to me all. It was so exciting. I just couldn't wait for the next session and the next session, and I would come in and I would cry, and then when we were learning how to breathe, I would be making sounds like, ah, and I just couldn't feel comfortable with it. It just felt like I was a scammer. I just didn't really feel good in my own skin. And what is so beautiful about Asttarte is that her intuition and her heart was so wide open. And she was in the middle of a very, very special relationship. Interesting enough, his birthday was the same as mine. And the house I grew up in, 327 Valley Road in Marion, was her birthday. And with all of those coincidences and all of those open-hearted ascension meditations, tapping exercises, wailing, shiatsu massage, Reiki massage, almost every Reiki massage that she gave me, having her hand in one spot, she knew where to put it, where I would just wail. And so for the last 8 months, I've been crying more than I have ever cried, because what I've realized is that it's coming out on a cellular level. Would I have ever imagined meeting somebody on the internet, going to their place, developing an incredibly submissive position on my part, and being in a relationship and a business with my children, which are older? I was always the dominant. I never even thought about it. Having authenticity was something I never experienced. She made me be very aware of my words. Oh my God, there were times I felt so horny and so attracted to her and so fired up, and she would say, she'd put her hand on my heart and she would say, calm the Kundalini down, let's keep opening your heart. So one of the biggest things that I will say is, all of them have come true, all of my intentions. And we always started a session, with an intention, which was kind of cool, because as you go along, things change, and then you create the intention, and you talk to her about it, and then she brings out her bag of tricks. I mean, it's just, she'll know in that moment what's the best type of session that we should work in. So I'll tell you one thing that was kind of funny. I live up in the New Hope area, and I unblocked my money egg. We worked on being, when I was a child, I was called a no good blank like my father, and always shamed about money. And there was a lot of dirtiness in my Russian, they were always black market, sugar, they sold sugar, they're bootleggers. So they just gave it to us, and their philosophy was if they treated us like shit, we would make it in the world. Well, it didn't work that well for me. So I remember being at this really, really wealthy art festival not too long ago after I started, maybe month 3, December, like February. It was a cold night. And I just kept walking around the party saying, I unblocked the millionaire egg, I unblocked the millionaire egg. And people looked at me like, Paul, you are really crazy. But I'll tell you, March, April, May, and June, I've almost doubled my business. I'm now finally getting a divorce, and I never had the courage to get a divorce. I finally have a voice. I met somebody very special that taught me how to kiss, and it's all about slow and your breath and your heart. If you would have told me that to get an erection and to have a lovemaking session, that it had nothing to do with my 3 or 4, well really the 3 lower chakras, that it had to do with my heart chakra, because I've been meditating chakra work for the last probably, 8 years, twice a night, half an hour at a time, twice a day, morning and night. It's amazing that I have finally gotten to my heart. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to tell everybody out there, if you get the opportunity before she becomes $1,000 an hour and just writes books and becomes a professor of medical schools, she's a flower essence expert. There are so many different areas. I couldn't walk. I had one surgery, and she said, don't worry, I will help you unblock your all inside suppressed sexual, I was very tortured in my marriage and held it in. And when she works on my area, in my pelvic area, I wail and scream. And it just feels so damn good. And I'll tell you, I'm madly in love with somebody now, and I have never in my life even liked myself. So, I don't know. I hope that's an okay testimonial. That's it for now. Bye now.